What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Rob's Gaming Table. Today on the table we have another Archon Vault Tour game from Gen Con 2019. This time we are in Day 2, Top 32. This is the first of the Top 32 games I'll be posting. This is actually the round of players who did not get a bye in Day 2 to make it into the Top 16, so they'll be playing off for one of those sweet spots in the Top 16. But it's just easier to call it Top 32. So we got an Ember in play from Joe here off the start. Great first turn play, force on your opponent to either deal with it with some direct damage, maybe pick a house you didn't want to play first turn, or do what Zach's doing right here and play a Harlan Mindlock, take the Ember Imp, huge play, and say, hey Joe, deal with the Ember Imp yourself. And throws down a Research Smoko and a Spectral Tunneler. And that was a good first turn there for Zach, of course. Finishing it with one Amber. And Joe's now slumping back in his chair. A little shocked, I'm sure. Trying to figure out how to deal with it the best way. I mean, you only have to destroy the Harlan Mindlock and you can take the Ember Imp back. That's probably his best play. You don't want to destroy the Ember Imp, right? So that way you can have the Ember Imp on your side again. They can play a game past the Ember Imp around. It'd be kind of fun. Looks like Joe's going untamed. Drops down a Dust Pixie, gains 2 Amber. And a Nature's Call, interestingly, puts the Dust Pixie back to hand. Harlan Mindlock, there's the Ember Imp coming back. And the Research Smoko going back to hand. And of course, you guessed it, Dust Pixie's back on the board, generating 4 Amber this turn. And Nocturnal Maneuver to gain an Amber. And just discards Key Charge, finishes at 6 in check. Joe here already going for a key. It's Archon, folks. They're bringing their best decks to the table here. They also got to spend 2 minutes before the match looking at each other's decks. If you'd like to see their decks, go pause the video. Check them out in the description below. I put the links there to the Master Vault, so you guys can check them out and kind of follow along. Look at what they got in the decks. So we got a bait and switch from Zach here, taking 2. Getting Joe off of check. Put himself at 3 Amber. And he's going to steal another one, Nerve Blast. And Ember Imp, I'm sure, is going to go bye-bye. So he can continue playing more than 2 cards this turn, which he's going to do here. Pawn Sacrifice just for the Ember, has no creatures on his side to sacrifice to deal the 3 damage, so the effect just fizzles, but at least he'll get an Amber off the card. Couldn't get to check, though. Finishes at 5, draws up. Over to Joe. Now, both players have Fagin decks. With 2 Urchins in Zach's, it looks like, but 3 in Joe's. That's interesting. Joe has a double Witch of the Eye, 2 Dew Fairies, Depend Seed, so you may get that Key Charge back later. There's a Master Plan, throwing a card underneath it, gaining an Amber. Curious what he stuffed under there. And we got an Urchin, stealing 1.
6 and you stole 3, so I have 3. 4, 5. Steal 1 more dollar.
And we got another steal here, putting Joe back in check. He's going to deal 2 damage to his Urchin since he has to choose a creature and drops a Nexus in play. Looks like that's going to be his turn there. Joe's also playing a Speed Sigil deck and has one of my favorite cards in Call of the Archons, Overlord Grekking. Big 7 power creature that after a creature is destroyed fighting him, you take control of it, which I think is awesome. Speaking of taking control, here's Harlan Mindlock taking the Nexus over to the other side. There's that Research Smoko back. And a Positron Bolt just to kill the Dew Fairy, or the Dust Pixie, sorry. But gains an Amber. So is that Nexus going to be able to use the Master Plan across the table? And what is hiding under there? It's always fun when you get to pop your opponent's Master Plan. And play it on a suboptimal time. Sometimes it's a card that can really help you, but pro players won't put something under there that they're worried about the opponent popping off. That's for sure. So Joe forges his key here. And he takes some time to think. But we just speed up the video a little bit there. Cut out the couple minutes he's taking a think here. So another interesting card I see in Zach's deck is Khalifi Dragon. Will we see that hit the board? That's a tough one to get out, but 3 Wild Wormholes also in Zach's deck. That's pretty nuts. There we got Ember Imp and Succubus is the play. Doesn't get rid of that Nexus, but he could reduce Zach's card draw with Succubus and his card playing with Ember Imp. Does Zach have some shadow cards finally that he wants to play and can use that Nexus and pop that Master Plan? I bet he wants to, but he's got to get to check. He's got to catch up. He's behind now. Joe has a key, but no more Amber. But Zach's still sitting there trying to get his first key. So Zach is going to go Shadows. He does the Nexus to pop. What is it? Oh, Speed Sigil. Gets the Amber off it at least. But now it's going to affect both players, which is kind of cool. So the first creature that Zach or Joe play will come into play ready. So we got a Relentless Whispers just killing the Ember Imp, but not stealing any Amber because Joe had no Amber. And that's going to be on the Shadows play. So he doesn't take advantage of the Speed Sigil here at the first turn he gets it into play.
Judge, he drew 6 cards. We'll have a second piece of play.
And Joe's calling a judge here. Zach overdrew.
Show your hands. He gets to pick a card, and you shuffle that card back into your deck.
So he has to reveal his hand here. Judge's call. Show all the cards since they don't know which one the last one was drawn. And Joe picks one to discard. So we see a heavy Brobnar turn might be coming up here. We got an old Bruno there for some capture, but nothing to capture right now. And it depends what Joe's going to actually do this next turn. So he's, of course, looking at his cards, too, to see. We got a Champion's Challenge in there. Great board reset. But right now, Zach has the bigger board. And we see one of those Wild Wormholes. Can make his Brobnar turn more weak. Yeah, he's going to get rid of Champion's Challenge. Interestingly, so Joe's probably planning on playing a bunch of creatures right now.
Sorry, the penalty is a little bit rough.
And Joe apologizing. That's a little harsh. But most players playing in tournaments now know at Vault Tours that's the way they rule it, since they can't figure out what you drew last. Your punishment for overdrawing is revealing your whole hand, and your opponent discards one. I'm curious if anyone's doing that at the store level, or you just kind of like figure it out. Maybe that'll help players learn not to overdraw. It is a little rough sometimes when the effect is across the table on the opponent's side that's stopping you, and your opponent doesn't say anything. I like opponents, and myself, I try to do it where I remind my opponent before they draw, or I kind of watch them as they're drawing, and if they look like they're about to go for another card, I kind of stop them. If I can, if they're not too quick. Because it just makes it awkward. Alright, we got an Untamed turn here off Joe. Dropping down on a Pen Seed and a Witch of the Eye. Witch of the Eye coming in ready off Speed Sigil, Reaps. And I'm sure Joe's going to go digging through the discard. Off of the Witch of the Eye to return a card to hand. And it looks like he's thinking of the Nature's Call again. He's going to do Harlem Mindlock, Research Smoko back to hand, which gets his Nexus back to his side. Play we saw earlier. And he gets the Amber off that and drops an Ancient Bear into play. So we see why he didn't want the Champion's Challenge there, because he obviously could deal with his opponent's board, and now he has the bigger board, and it would suck to get hit with that in the following turn. So we have it first KeyForge here by Zach. And has 1 Amber remaining. Joe at 1 key, 2 Amber. And has some threats on the board. Sure you want to deal with the Nexus, the Succubus, and the Witch of the Eye. So how better to do that than get some Brobnar bodies on the board and coming into play ready with Speed Sigil. And Crump is going to smash the Witch of the Eye. That makes sense. And forces Joe to lose an Amber. Crump takes 3 damage on the play. Helps stop some of that recursion. You don't want him to repeat Nature's Call over and over again, that's for sure. Good thing there was a Speed Sigil to get into play there under that Master Plan. Or Zach may have been trapped. Although the Witch of the Eye wouldn't have been able to get the Nature's Call back there on the last turn. So who knows? We got a Fire Spitter into play on the right flank for Zach there. And and drops in a Ganger Chieftain, which will get Fire Spitter to ready and fight. And he should deal 1 damage to each of the other creatures there after that fight. With his, or is it before fight? I think it's before fight. So that gets rid of Succubus, so no more draw limitations on Zach right now. So he should be up to 6 cards. If you like these type of videos with commentary, I have lots more coming up here from Gen Con. I got up to the top 4. All the games that are not on stream, including this one that weren't on Fantasy Flight Games stream. So if you just like more content, I got more coming. Also did the Sealed, if you haven't checked it out. There should be a link in the description below. Also went to the Origins Vault Tour 2019. Got a bunch from that Sealed event. And I'll try to get some more tournaments. If you guys want to support the channel and help me get some more tournaments, donate below in the description. There's a link on over to Patreon where we have a bunch of supporters supporting the channel. Thank you to everyone that supports the channel. You guys are all awesome. Without you guys, these videos wouldn't be happening. So I appreciate it very much, very much. Any amount helps for sure. Every little bit all adds up and makes it easier to convince my wife that we're going to another convention kind of thing. So, so I can get these videos for you guys. All right, so we have a Dust Imp coming in readied. Obviously, I have Speed Sigil, fighting, and then dying, getting 2 Amber, hitting Crump there. We got an Arise play. Should generate a chain for Joe. He's going to get all creatures of a specific faction back to hand. He goes for Dis. And we see he's got 2 Ember Imps back there, Dust Imp back again, and Succubus. And he just flops them all on the board. Oh, and a Pit Demon. And it draws up only to 5 set. He lost a chain there, so his chains are shaken off. And now Zach's got to deal with that board. Oh, wow. And really good on Joe's call, getting rid of that Champions Challenge earlier. That was a bad turn for Zach there. It's too bad he didn't draw only up to 5. Hopefully that doesn't cost him the game here. Let's see what he has to come back for this. Let's check if he has another board wipe in the deck. Yeah, he's played that Positron Bolt already. That would clear a few of them off, but that is gone. He does have a Poison Wave in his deck. Oh, he's going Brobnar. Makes sense. He's got a bunch of Brobnar bodies on the board. Now 2 Fire Spitters. That should help. Although it is going to get Joe some Amber there off that Pit Team, or Dust Imp, sorry. So Succubus is going to get fought with Fire Spitter. And has 1 armor, so he's only going to take 2 damage back. And that's going to deal 1 damage across the board to Joe's creatures. Should be able to get that Nexus off the board too if he fights the other Fire Spitter. So he's played 1 card already. Can't play more than 1 more until he gets those Dust Imps or Amber Imps off the board. Ember Imps, not Amber Imps. 2 different cards. Very closely named. So we got another Fire Spitter coming in here. And he's going to hit up Pit Demon. Only take 4 back because of the armor block, but does get Pit Demon off the board. That's huge. And deals 2 damage across. And he's going to get 2 Amber off that Dust Imp dying. And now we have an Ancient Bear with 3 health left sitting on the board. And Crump and the Bear are going to fight it out and kill each other. And we got a Ganger Chieftain on the Reap. Just like that, Joe has an empty board. Wow. Who needs a board wipe when you got a Brobnar wall of Fire Spitters? Wow. Love it. Love it. It's a good counter pick for Zach. Counterplay to the meta, bringing some big bodies in Brobnar that have spread effects like that to take all the little weenie creatures out. And a lot of decks running lots of weenie creatures. Shadows is popular. They don't have a lot of big bodies, right? It's a lot of little guys. Same with Dis. I mean, Dis has some bigger guys, but mainly lower. The popular ones are mainly lower power. I could be wrong, but that's how I see it. So looks like Joe's shadows here, debating dropping a Fagin. He drops the Fagin, and a Shadow Self to the right flank to protect him, and an Urchin coming into play, stealing one. Fagin comes into play ready off Speed Sigil, of course. Then we have another Urchin on the left flank, stealing another one, and a Dusk Runner on Fagin. Although that won't help him steal anything right now since Zach is fresh out of Amber. And he's popping the Pen Seed to get the other Urchin into play. No steal on that, though. And Fagin's not going to reap or fight. He's just going to chill, I guess. Joe's sitting at 8. He's fine with 8, I guess. It's kind of gross seeing all 3 Urchins out there with Fagin. Shadow Self protecting Fagin. Fagin ready to start reaping and stealing also with the Dusk Runner. That's disgusting. I think he's going to force Zach into another Brobnar turn here. May not have many Brobnar cards in hand. Unless Poison Wave's in hand. That could be pretty good. Oh, Harlan Mindlock. Interesting. Taking Shadow Self. Protecting Harlan Mindlock. I love it. Harlan Mindlock's a great rare. He's fun to play with. Makes crazy plays like this. This is what KeyForge is all about. Just crazy plays. And we got a Wild Wormhole. What do we get? We get a Tremor. That's a nice hit there. He can do some stuns. And he's going to stun Fagin and a couple Urchins there. That's pretty huge. That buys Zach some time here. Maybe. Maybe. And we got Spectral Tunneler. Going to give some Reap and Draw card here to Harlan Mindlock. And I think he just drew into that Poison Wave. Not able to play yet. Still on the Logos turn. He has Dr. Escoterra there, which would be nice to play on a future turn, but win another KeyForge. But he's going to do it now. Just gain an Amber. Got another body on the board. And there's that Research Smoko we've seen bounce back to hand a couple times.
I'm off those style decks now, but it sounds very reasonable.
It's got too much sentimental to me. I love it.
I used to be all about.
And I think Joe's going to forge here. Has 2 Amber remaining. Second key forged. Zach still at 1 key, 3 Amber.
It's totally high risk. So the very, very first round, I played a deck with too much protect and then too much of the grab. Like, oh, you got
Dodger comes out. Like, I just left a big taste in my mouth from Denver when I started off 3 out. Silver, and I just like.
Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't pop that Nepenthe Seed last turn to get that Urchin. It was from the Fagin, I guess. He just didn't exhaust him. That was my bad. But off the Speed Sigil, I guess, came in, just assume he's ready. Did the Reap with him, got the Urchin back, but didn't actually exhaust the character. It gets confusing sometimes when guys don't, guys or girls there don't exhaust cards or come into play exhausted. It kind of messes up. Hard to follow sometimes. I apologize. Or I look away at their deck list and totally miss what just happened. That's the other thing I do, as you guys know. Oh, man. All right. Joe assessing his discard pile here. What is he looking at it for? I guess that Nepenthe Seed. Maybe he's trying to see if he can line up another burst play here, get to his check for his 3rd key. There's some Dew Fairies in hand, at least one. And that's great off Speed Sigil. You can go get a Dust Pixie. Or he's maybe trying to think if he can get enough Amber there to get a Key Charge play off. He's looking at how many cards are left. You see him spread out his deck there. See how many cards are left in his deck. Because he wants to use that Pen Seed before he cycles through his deck and has like no discard pile. He wants to Key Charge for that last key, I'm sure. But he's got to get there. Looks like he's debating going Dis. Drops down the Dust Imp, readied. So that Dust Imp can fight. Oh, he reaps. Oh, then Gateway to Dis. That makes sense. And just destroys. He says, I don't care about these Shadows creatures. They can go away. I'm not going to unstun them later. Let's just clear the board. And that destroys everyone, including Shadow Self going back to Joe's discard pile there. And Research Smoko will allow Zach to archive the top card of his deck, which he does there. And Nepenthe Seed getting the Arise off. Oh, and he's going Dis again. There we go. Makes sense. Makes sense. Here I'm thinking he's going for a key charge. He doesn't care about a key charge. He just has an awesome disc lineup of creatures. And we see he has that Tentacus in hand too that we haven't seen yet. And I wonder if he's got Overlord Grekking hanging around in hand already. No, it does not look like it. Wow, look at that. Just like that. Rise. So amazing.
You're right. I have one more chain. Sorry.
So Joe just putting damage tokens on his deck there to signify the chains from Arise and the Gateway to Disc that he popped off there. So he's burned one already. Has 3 chains left. Not in checks in F5 Amber. But Zach in trouble here, I think. See, he's got the Shadows cards in hand. Poison Wave is a thing. But the problem is the Dust Imp, 2 of them, is going to put 4 more Amber on Joe's card here. Definitely putting him in a check. That's sad. That might be it. But you got to deal with that board. You had to get rid of those Ember Imps off the table. Problem is Succubus is still there. Tentacus is going to be taxing uses of artifacts. Pit Demon stealing. I don't know. Let's see what else Zach has. He's probably looking at a few creatures here, trying to figure it off Speed Sigil. What's the smart play? He's going to bring in Old Bruno to capture 3. And an Urchin to steal 1. And Nexus. And that gets Joe off check. And old Bruno will do a Reap and Zach's in check just like that. That's good. But, I mean, with the disc turn alone, he's able to get him off if he wants of check. And we got an Untamed turn here. Regrowth, gaining an Amber. And it's going to grab a Witch of the Eye. It's going to come into play ready. And I feel a key charge play coming here. Full Moon's going to get an extra Amber when the Witch of the Eye comes into play. Putting him to 7. Witch of the Eye reaps and goes and grabs key charge. And he should be able to key charge for the win here. And there it is. That is it. So congrats to Joe. Thanks to both players for playing on camera for us there. If you guys have any questions or anything, or saw anything that may have been goofed up that you want to leave in the comments below, go ahead, let us know. But that was an awesome game. Too bad for Zach. He had the tools, but yeah, just that extra card draw, getting rid of the Champions Challenge, may have been pretty rough there. But I mean, with the Arises popping off multiple times, who knows? Anyways, lots more KeyForge coming up on the channel. See you in the next video.